In the darkest moment of her life, when everything she loved was ripped away, she discovered something she never knew she had: a heart powerful enough to rise again. This is the story of a girl who lost everything and still won. Elara stood at the edge of the old stone bridge, her fingers tightly gripping the cold railing as the wind tore through her hair. The river below roared like a beast awakened from centuries of sleep. It reminded her of everything inside her: chaos, pain, and a storm she no longer knew how to contain. 3 months. It had only been 3 months since her world had collapsed like fragile glass. Before that, Elara's life had been a quiet melody. A small-town girl with big dreams, she lived in a modest home surrounded by golden fields that danced with the wind. Her parents were warm-hearted, hard-working people who had raised her with love and strength. And then there was Liam, her younger brother, her shadow, her partner in laughter and trouble. But tragedies rarely send warnings. It happened on a cold evening of late September. Her parents and Liam had gone to visit her grandmother in the next town. Elara had stayed home because she had an exam the next day. She still remembered the sound: the phone ringing, her aunt's trembling voice, the silence that swallowed everything after. A drunk driver had crossed the highway divider. One impact, 3 lives gone. Elara had screamed until she felt her throat bleeding, but no sound could match the disaster inside her. Overnight, she went from daughter and sister to orphan. The world no longer felt like a home. It felt like a battlefield she had been left alone to survive. Now, as she stood on that bridge, staring into the merciless water, she wondered if surviving even mattered. But fate has peculiar timing. Elara, a soft voice called from behind her. She turned. It was Mrs. Rowan, her mother's closest friend, a woman who carried warmth in her eyes like the first day of spring. "I thought I might find you here." Her voice was gentle but steady. "It's cold. Come home." Home. The word cut deeper than she expected. "I don't have a home anymore," Elara whispered, blinking back tears. Mrs. Rowan placed a hand on her shoulder. "You do. You're staying with us now, and we won't let you lose yourself." But Elara felt lost anyway. Days passed like shadows drifting across the floor. She barely ate, barely slept, and barely spoke. Her school counselor recommended therapy. Mrs. Rowan insisted. Eventually, Elara agreed, not because she believed it would help, but because refusing required more energy than she had. Her therapist, Dr. Hale, was calm and observant, a man with patient eyes. "Elara," he said one afternoon, "your heart is hurting because it loved deeply. That pain is real, but it also means something else." "What?" she muttered. "That you still have the capacity to feel, and that means healing is possible." She wanted to argue, but the words collapsed before they reached her tongue. She passed the community center and saw a sign: "Volunteers needed. Children's recovery program." She didn't know why she stopped. She didn't know why she walked inside. Maybe it was the quiet chaos of kids laughing. Maybe it was the faint echo of Liam's smile inside her memory. The coordinator, Mr. Dalton, greeted her warmly. "Do you like working with children?" I don't know," she admitted. "Well," he said with a grin, "let's find out." The first child she met was Aiden, a boy of 8 with big brown eyes and a cast on his arm. He was shy, quiet, and afraid of everything. But when Elara sat beside him and shared a silly drawing she made, he smiled, not fully, but enough to melt something inside her. Day after day, she returned. Day after day, the children unknowingly stitched pieces of her broken heart back together. She learned their stories, some painful, some heartbreaking, some eerily similar to her own. They had lost parents, battled diseases, survived accidents, faced fears far too big for their small bodies. Yet they laughed, they played, they believed tomorrow could be brighter. Elara wondered, if they can still hope, Why can't I? For the first time since the accident, a small spark flickered inside her. But healing is never a straight line. One evening, while helping Aiden paint, she noticed he looked anxious. "Elara, will you still come next week?" he asked hesitantly. She nodded. "Of course." He relaxed. "Good, because I don't want you to disappear like my mom did." The words stabbed her like a blade. Her breath hitched. Her vision blurred. She excused herself and rushed outside, gasping for air. The world spun. Her heart pounded. Memories roared like a storm. She collapsed on the steps and screamed. Not out loud, but inside her soul, where pain lives without sound. Mrs. Rowan found her there minutes later, trembling. "Elara, what happened? I can't do this," she sobbed. "Helping them, it brings everything back. I thought I was healing, but I'm just breaking again." Mrs. Rowan hugged her tightly. "Sometimes we break in order to rebuild stronger. Pain isn't the end. It's the beginning of becoming someone new." Elara wanted to believe her, but doubt whispered louder. Weeks passed. She kept volunteering, kept attending therapy, kept trying. Each day was a battle, but for the first time, she wasn't fighting alone. Slowly, she noticed changes. She smiled more. She slept better. She laughed, softly but genuinely. One afternoon, Dr. Hale asked, "Elara, what do you fear most now?" She took a deep breath. "That I'll forget them." "You won't," he assured. "You carry them with you. Love doesn't vanish. It transforms." She felt those words settle in her heart like seeds ready to bloom. Everything changed the day Aiden ran to her, waving a letter. "Elara, I got into the art program you helped me apply for." His excitement was contagious. His joy was pure. And in that moment, she realized something powerful. She had saved someone, and in doing so, she had saved a part of herself too. That night, as she lay in bed, she whispered to the darkness, "I'm still here. I'm still fighting." It was the first promise she had made to herself in months, and the first one she truly meant. The tragedy had broken her, but something inside her, something fierce and stubborn, refused to stay shattered. She didn't know it yet, but her journey from tragedy to triumph had only just begun. The winter sun hung low in the sky, casting golden beams through the frosted windows of the community center. Elara stood quietly in the hallway, watching the children paint with wide smiles and messy fingers. Aiden, now more confident than ever, was showing his new sketchbook to two younger kids who admired him like a hero. She felt something warm fill her chest, something she had not felt in a long time. Pride, not just in Aiden, but in herself. She had survived the worst months of her life. She had broken, crumbled, bled inside. Yet somehow she kept moving. But life always finds a way to test you again. One late afternoon, Elara received a call from Dr. Hale. "Elara, we're hosting a community event next month," he said. "A gathering for families recovering from trauma. I think it would be powerful if you shared your story." Her heartbeat spiked. "Share my story?" she repeated. "Yes, you've come a long way. Your journey could help others." Elara's throat tightened. How could she talk about the night she lost everything? How could she stand in front of strangers and let her wounds breathe? "I'm not ready for that," she whispered. "Sometimes," Dr. Hale said gently, "we don't realize we're ready until we take the first step." She hung up the phone with trembling hands. That night, she stood in her room, staring at a photograph of her family, the last picture taken before the accident. Her father was laughing, her mother's arm wrapped around both children, and Liam leaning into her shoulder as if she were his entire world. Her vision blurred. "What would you want me to do?" she whispered to the picture. A memory surfaced. Liam sitting on the porch steps, swinging his legs, telling her, "If something bad happens, Elara, don't stop living. Promise?" She wiped her tears. "I guess I did promise." And so reluctantly, With shaking hands but a strengthening heart, she agreed to speak at the event. The days passed quickly as she prepared. She wrote her story, erased it, rewrote it, burned it metaphorically in frustration, then wrote it again. Every sentence felt like she was stitching a wound closed, only to open another. But she kept going, because somewhere inside her, she realized that telling her story wasn't about reliving the tragedy. It was about honoring those she lost by living forward. The night before the event, Elara was in the community center helping decorate. Aiden approached her, holding a small folded paper. "What's this?" she asked. "It's for tomorrow," he said shyly. She opened it. Inside was a simple drawing, a girl standing on a mountain, holding a heart glowing like a sun. Below it, in uneven child handwriting, "You show people the way up." Her breath caught. "Aiden, this is beautiful." He shrugged, but smiled wider than she had ever seen. "You helped me be brave. Now I help you." Elara hugged him, feeling her heart stretch in a way she never thought possible again. The day of the event arrived. The hall was filled. Parents, counselors, volunteers, survivors, children. A soft murmur filled the air as people took their seats. Elara stood backstage, her hands trembling, her breath uneven. Mrs. Rowan approached. "You're going to change lives today." "I'm scared," Elara confessed. "That means your heart is open," Mrs. Rowan said, "and open hearts move the world." Elara closed her eyes, inhaled deeply, and walked to the stage. The room fell silent as she stepped up to the podium. She looked out at the audience, faces marked with loss, hope, and longing. Faces just like hers. Her voice shook at first. "My name is Elara, and 3 months ago, I lost my entire family." Whispers rippled through the room. She continued, "I stopped believing life had anything left to give me. I stopped believing I had anything to give life." She spoke slowly, honestly, about the bridge, about the darkness, about therapy, volunteering, the children, about Aiden, about the moment she realized she was still alive, not just breathing, but alive. As she talked, something inside her shifted. She wasn't breaking, she was releasing. Her voice grew stronger. "Pain doesn't make us weak. It shows us how deep our love goes. And love is what lifts us again." By the time she finished, tears stained more faces than she could count. And then the entire hall stood, an unexpected standing ovation that hit her like a wave of light. Aiden ran onto the stage and hugged her tightly, and the room softened with warm laughter. In that moment, Elara felt it fully, the transformation inside her. She had not overcome tragedy by forgetting it. She had overcome it by carrying it forward in a new form, strength. Over the following weeks, Elara's life blossomed in small but powerful ways. She started writing a journal. She began helping Dr. Hale with new support groups. She spent more time with Mrs. Rowan, calling her home, without guilt. One evening, as she watched the sunset paint the sky with gold and violet, Elara realized something that made her breath catch. She was happy. Not the old happiness. A new one, braver, deeper, earned through fire. Then came the letter. She had applied, hesitantly, to a university program in child psychology, a dream she once shared with her mother but had abandoned after the accident. With trembling hands, she tore open the envelope. Congratulations. Her eyes widened. She had been accepted. She laughed through her tears, feeling an overwhelming surge of pride and gratitude. Her future was no longer a shadow. It was a path, bright, open, waiting. On the anniversary of her family's death, she returned to the old bridge, not to mourn, but to honor. She placed 3 white flowers into the river, one for each soul she lost. As they drifted away, she whispered, "I'm living, just like you wanted, and I'll keep living. I'll make you proud." The wind brushed her hair gently, almost like a blessing. She smiled. For the first time, the river didn't look like a monster. It looked like a journey, flowing forward, unbroken, unstoppable, just like her. Months later, on her first day at the university, Elara walked across the campus with steady steps. Aiden had given her a new drawing to keep in her bag. Another mountain, another glowing heart. And she knew something now with absolute clarity. Her tragedy had not defined her. Her triumph had. She had risen from the deepest darkness. She had rebuilt her heart. And now she would use it to heal others. Not despite her pain, but because of it. This was her triumph. This was her new beginning. This was the heart within.